Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. In this video, we will finish chapter 3.2 applications of integration in economic and business. And we continue with consumer surplus, producer surplus and market equilibrium point. We look at consumer surplus first, or in Malay, we call it as lebihan pengguna. Consumer surplus use demand function, DX, the price per unit that consumers willing to pay to purchase X units products. Example, a consumer is ready to pay RM50 for an item but get it at the price RM30 in the market. Thus, RM10 saved by the consumer is the consumer's surplus. And demand function, DX, is a decreasing function. And demand involve either quadratic function or linear function. And formula to find consumer surplus, we use integrate from 0 to x, demand function, minus with x times y. This diagram show graph for consumer surplus. Consumer surplus just use area in the first quadrant. We go to example 5. Suppose the consumer demand function for a certain commodity is given by dx equals to 4 times 16 minus x squared, where dx is the unit price in ringgits and x is the quantity demand in units at a market price of RM28 per unit. First question, sketch the graph of dx and label the consumer surplus region. We have function dx equals to 4 times 16 minus x squared. And we have market price RM28. Market price refer to y. Y is RM28. Okay, we need to find value for x. X is quantity. So to find x, dx same as y. So RM28 equals to 4 times 16 minus x squared. Then we solve. We get x squared equals to 9 and x equals to plus minus 3. Since quantity, so x equals to 3 only. For consumer surplus, we just sketch simple one. So first, we find x and y intercept. And x equals to 0, so we get y 64. And when y equals to 0, so we get x plus minus 4. Okay, now we sketch the graph. Graph in first quadrant only. We know that demand function is decreasing function. So we sketch this decreasing curve at x and y intercept. So x is 4 here and this one 64. And we have point 328. So this one 328. 3. So our consumer surplus region is here. So this region CS. Question B, we want to find the consumer surplus. Okay, formula for consumer surplus CS equals to integrate from 0 to x, demand function, and then minus with point x, y. So we have point x is 3, demand function is 4 16 minus x squared dx, then we minus with point x3 and point y 28. We simplify, we get 64 minus 4x squared dx minus with 84, then we integrate, then minus with 84. We substitute value 0 and 3. So 64 times 3 minus with 0. Substitute 0 is 0. Then minus with 84. Then we solve, we get answer 72. Then we conclude. Always put RM for consumer surplus. Next, we continue with producer surplus, PS, or in other words, lebihan pengeluar. Producer surplus, we use supply function, SX. The price per unit that producers willing to offer for the sales of X units products produced. Example, a producer will be willing to sell an item at the price RM35 but sold it at the price RM50 in the market. Thus, RM5 benefit by the producer is the producer's surplus. And supply function is an increasing function. Usually, question use function SX in positive quadratic or SX equals to positive linear. And formula for producer surplus, we use point x times y minus which integrate from 0 to x and sx dx. And this one is a diagram for producer surplus. We use function sx supply and this one region for producer surplus. We go to example 6. Suppose the market price for a certain commodity is RM29 per unit and the supply function is given by Sx equals to 4 plus x square, where Sx is the unit price in ringgits and x is the quantity demand in units. A. Sketch the graph of Sx and label the producer surplus region. And next, find the producer surplus. We have function supply Sx equals to 4 plus x square. Okay, we have price market RM29, so this one y equals to RM29. And to find x, we equal Sx equals to y. So 29 equals to 4 plus x square. We have 25 equals to x square, so x equals to plus minus 5. Since x is a quantity, so x equals to 5 only. Okay, then we sketch the graph as simple one. So first we find the x and y intercept. When x equals to 0, we get y equals to 4, and when y equals to 0, we can solve value for x, so no value for x. Okay, then we sketch the graph. Sx is an increasing function, so we sketch smile at 4, y equals to 4, and we have 0.29 and 5. This one y equals to 29 and x equals to 5. This one function for supply. Then label the producer surplus region. This one area for region for producer surplus, and we label as PS. And next we find the producer surplus. So producer surplus formula is point xy minus we integrate from 0 to x function for supply dx. Then we substitute x is 5, y 29 minus integrate from 0 to x, x is 5, function sx 4 plus x square dx. Then we solve, we get 145 minus 4x plus x cubed over 3 integrate from 0 to 5. We substitute 0 and 5, we get 4 times 5 plus 5 cubed over 3 minus with 0. Then we solve, we get answer RM83.33. So we conclude the producer surplus is RM. Don't forget to put RM, RM83.33. And last, we continue market equilibrium point or MEP. We have 3 types of MEP. First, market equilibrium point. We find point X and Y, the intersection point of the supply and demand curve. Means we find X when dx equals to Sx. And next, we have market equilibrium quantity. Means we find value for X only. X refer to quantity. And market equilibrium price, value for Y. Y refer to price. Okay, this one diagram for producer surplus, consumer surplus and market equilibrium point. We go to example 7, number 1. The demand function and supply function in 100 of a firm that prints books, dx equals to 3 over 2 minus x over 4, and supply function sx equals to x squared over 2 respectively, where x is the number of book print in thousand. Question A, find the market equilibrium point. So to find market equilibrium point, MEP, we just equal dx with sx. So dx is 3 over 2 minus x over 4 equal with x squared over 2. We make it in same denominator, so with 6 over 4 minus x over 4 equals to 2x squared over 4. We ignore the denominator, so 6 minus x equals to 2x squared. 2x squared plus x minus 6 equals to 0. Then we factorize. We get answer x equals to 3 over 2 and x equals to negative 2. Since this one is quantity, x is quantity, so x equals to 3 over 2 only. To find y, we can substitute x into dx or sx. dx and sx are function y. So I substitute x equals to 3 over 2 into sx. So 3 over 2 square divided by 2. Then we get answer 9 over 8. So y equals to 9 over 8. Then this one is market equilibrium point. 3 over 2 and 9 over 8. Okay, next question, we want to calculate the consumer surplus. Okay, to find CS, formula is integrate from 0 to x. Our x is 3 over 2. Function demand, consumer demand. Demand is 3 over 2 minus x over 4 dx minus with point xy. X 3 over 2 and y 9 over 8. Then we integrate, we get over 2 minus with 27 over 16. Then we substitute value 3 over 2 times with 3 over 2 minus 3 over 2 squared divided by 8, then minus with 0, minus with 27 over 16. Then we calculate, we get 9 over 32 or 0.2813. Since demand and supply in 100, so our CS is 28 ringgit and 13 cent. We move 2 decimal point. Okay, and last C, we find producer surplus. PS equals to XY, X 3 over 2, Y 9 over 8, minus with integrate from 0 to X 3 over 2, function for SX, X squared over 2 dx. Then we get 27 over 16 minus X cubed over 6 from 0 to 3 over 2. Then we substitute value for x, so we get 3 over 2 cube over 6 minus 0. Then we solve, we get 18 over 16, or same as 1.125. Since in 100, so our PS equals to RM. Move to decimal, 112 ringgit 50 sen. Continue example 7 number 2. Given the demand function dx equals to 80 minus 0.2 x squared and the supply function sx equals to x plus 50, where y is the price in RM and x is the number of units. First question, determine the market equilibrium price and its corresponding quantity. Okay, now we equal function dx with sx. We arrange the function Then we simplify first. We factorize, then we get x minus 10 and x plus 15. Since x is the quantity, so x equals to 10 only. To find y, we substitute x equals to 10 into Sx. So S10 equals to 10 plus 50, then we get 60. We conclude the market equilibrium price is RM60 and market equilibrium quantity is 10 units. Question B, sketch the graph of dx and Sx on the same graph. Then, shade and label the region for consumer surplus and producers surplus. Okay, now we have function dx in quadratic function. So, we find the intercept. And we find the intercept for function Sx. And now we sketch the graph, function dx in quadratic and set. We sketch on the first quadrant only. Then we label the intercept 80, 20. And this one graph for dx. And next, graph for Sx. And graph Sx is positive linear, so straight line. At y equals to 50. And this one graph for Sx label. Then, we have market equilibrium point here. With point 60 for y and 10 for x. Then we shade and label the consumer surplus and producer surplus. Then we label this one as consumer surplus and this one producer surplus. Okay, that's all. We finished chapter 3.